Hey carnivores, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Bella the Steak and Butter Gal. I hope you all are having an amazing meat-fueled day, and as always, I'd love to know how you've been doing on your carnivore journeys. Feel free to drop any updates you'd like to share down below in the comments. Most of you who know me know that I've been strict carnivore going on 5 years. And for all of those 5 years, I've cut out an ingredient that even the strictest carnivores eat every single day. As if beef, salt, and water wasn't restrictive enough, I've completely stopped using salt on my carnivore diet for 5 years now. And in today's video, I'm going to reveal what exactly happens when you stop consuming salt, as well as 4 major changes that I experienced in my health since quitting this everyday ingredient. The results might surprise you and convince you to cut back on salt as well. Let's first talk about the short-term changes that occur inside and out your body when you reduce your salt consumption. If you're in tune with your body, you will notice the first amazing change pretty quick. And that change is your stress levels. I noticed that I felt way less anxious from the moment I woke up and also throughout the day. It's like all the trivial things that life threw my way just didn't matter anymore. This really helped me live a higher quality of life with less of the nagging pains that make good days bad ones. This makes sense because your kidneys regulate what's in your blood vessels and constantly works to ensure we have the right balance of water and sodium in our blood. This balance is of critical importance for you to pay attention to. If you're coming to the carnivore diet from something like a standard American diet or a standard Asian diet, you could be used to ingesting over 100% the daily recommended sodium amounts. If your kidneys can't keep up with the salt intake, your body ends up pulling water from your cells through osmosis. This increases blood volume as there is simply more stuff in your vessels, and also makes your heart work even harder. When you have an elevated blood pressure, you will feel more stressed as the body is constantly in fight or flight. Studies published by the University of Edinburgh have also demonstrated that increased salt intake also increased stress hormone activity, meaning that when you're challenged with a stressful situation, the hormonal response amplified proportional to how much salt you've had. Women like me will be especially prone to feeling this major change when we wean off the salt, because emerging evidence suggests that women are particularly susceptible to salt sensitivity in blood pressure. The female sex chromosome exacerbates the severity of heightened salt sensitivity. In addition to reduced stress levels, another remarkable change I experienced in the short term was a significant decrease in bloating. Now, this includes bloating in my face, in my belly area, just overall in my body in general. I felt like my body just stopped retaining as much water, which in turn looked a lot less bloated. Puffiness in my face and around my eye bags also improved a lot, and all the extra water retention my body was holding finally went down the drain. Studies published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology and findings of the DASH trials affirm that sodium intensifies bloating irrespective of one's diet by 27% to be precise, meaning slashing salt intake can proportionally reduce bloating. When we are adequately hydrated and consume low to no salt, our kidneys naturally signal for the expulsion of excess fluids. However, when hydration is lacking or salt intake is excessive, the kidneys not only trigger thirst, but also reabsorb fluids, striving to maintain the delicate balance of sodium and water in our bloodstream. This retention of excess water can lead to bloating as fluids accumulate, particularly in the abdominal region. Another bonus of my no salt carnivore lifestyle that's kind of related to this is that I'm better hydrated during the day, or at least I really feel like I am. I am not as thirsty, I don't crave for water, and by cutting back on the salt, the kidneys can effectively regulate fluid balance. So I definitely feel like I drink much less water while at the same time I feel better hydrated, and definitely I look a lot less bloated. Even if you're having salt on the carnivore diet out of preference or simply because you need it, the good news is that the DASH trials also found that simply by switching to a diet low in fiber, you're already reducing bloat by 41% compared to those on a high fiber diet. I also want to note that during the first 2 years of my carnivore journey, I myself was also quite skeptical of just how great I felt with zero salt. In fact, I experimented multiple times adding back high quality salt into my carnivore diet just to have a clear comparison of whether or not I actually could feel better with or without salt. So after months and months of of eating zero salt carnivore, I would do an intermittent experiment adding back in Redmond's real salt gradually and keeping it in my diet for 2 weeks total. During those entire 2 weeks of having salt every day on my meals, I just didn't feel as good. My energy dipped, I didn't sleep as well, I woke up groggy and lethargic, and of course, like I just mentioned, I felt bloated. My belly was bloated, my face got puffy again. So again, this is just such a personal thing that I have experimented with over and over again, and every single time I cut out the salt again, I go back to feeling my personal best. My energy is at its highest and I sleep like a baby. So now is a good time to really make clear that cutting the salt is not going to be the right move for everybody. Most people switching or adapting to a carnivore diet are really going to need to up their salt to prevent electrolyte imbalance, which usually occurs when you cut out all the junk, processed foods from a standard American diet. Did you know the average American consumes 3,400 milligrams of salt per day? So of course, if you're transitioning to carnivore, cutting down to substantially lower sodium levels too quick is definitely not a good idea, and this could result in headaches, lower energy levels, and muscle cramping. That's why a lot of new carnivores lean on a high-quality electrolyte supplement. This is the one that I recommend. It's from the brand called Element, specifically this blue teal colored box labeled raw unflavored. It has zero stevia, zero sugar, nothing but the 3 electrolytes that our body needs. These are what the little packets look like. They're super travel friendly. You just rip one open, pour it into whatever beverage you're drinking, mix it up, drink it down, and you are good to go. You all can get a free sample pack by going to the URL shown on the screen, drinklmnt.com/SBGAL. I've also linked them down below in the description box. Some of you who've been following those of us in the carnivore space for some time also know that Dr. Anthony Chaffee has also been living a salt-free carnivore lifestyle. He shared some salty details in the Steak and Butter Gang recently with our members because one of our members asked why he doesn't eat salt. So without further ado, here's a little snippet of Dr. Chaffee's answer from our Steak and Butter Gang meeting.
Slow decline over the years on how much my body actually wanted. And so eventually I just got to the point where putting any salt on my meat just tasted too salty. And I had a piece of bacon, it tasted like a salt lick. And I was like, nope, can't do that. So it was just purely a taste thing. So when I didn't use salt, it tasted salted. You know, it tasted like how I would normally salt the taste. With no salt. And there is salt, there is sodium in meat, there's plenty in it. There's plenty of people that don't use any salt, both current modern era people returning to carnivore and you know, classic hunter-gatherer, hunter sort of people as well. So you don't technically necessarily need it. If your body's telling you to have it, go for it. If you're having signs of low sodium or electrolytes, like low blood pressure or things like that, you know, go for it. If you have a blood test and you're low, definitely think about supplementing with it. The issue with adding a bunch of salt, I don't think you need to add a bunch of salt to your water for most people. Some people may, is when your insulin starts coming down, insulin has a role to play in electrolyte management in your kidneys. And so if your body's used to a level of insulin sort of here, and then all of a sudden you drop down here, well, then it may lose more electrolytes than you normally would. But your insulin didn't start up here. It started down here. You've been in ketosis since you were born. You were in ketosis in the womb. You were in ketosis while you were breastfeeding. And it was only after that we started feeding people a bunch of sugary carbs and garbage. And it was only then that insulin started coming up and being chronically raised. So the body can adjust to these sorts of things. And there's a lot of different ways that your body can, and your kidneys in particular, can adjust the amount of electrolytes staying in and going out. Insulin is just one of those things, and it's not you know, the main one. So while yes, you can lose more electrolytes than you want, it's something that your body will adjust to, and you shouldn't have to add in a ton of salt forever. You shouldn't be salt wasting or electrolyte wasting forever. Now there is some evidence, there are some studies that suggest that, you know, this can be significant for some people early on, and they may need more salt than just to taste. Most people can just salt to taste. Some people will have problems Maybe they're feeling a bit lightheaded. They just feel a bit gross. Some people think that keto flu, Atkins flu, carnivore flu may actually be from low electrolytes, and they're just feeling a bit gross and their blood pressure is a bit low. And if you add in a bit of electrolytes or extra salt, that this can help. If you're getting those symptoms and that helps, great. But if you feel fine one way or the other, don't. You don't need to just add in a whole bunch of stuff. And it's very few people that will need to continue doing this long term. I mean, like after a month or so, your body should be more well and truly adjusted to your insulin levels. So it's a case by case basis, but the large majority of people, in my experience, don't need to do this. And if you're not feeling any better from adding in a ton of salt to the point that you aren't enjoying it, and you're adding it into your water and you're not enjoying it, and you're not feeling any benefits from it, I don't think you need to do it.
The amazing Dr. Anthony Chaffee is just one of many doctors and experts that frequent the Steak and Butter Gang to troubleshoot and answer all the carnivore questions with our members and our amazing carnivore coaches. There's still time to sign up and ask your question to Dr. Chaffee for when he joins us for another intimate hour of learning later this month. You can check out the Steak and Butter Gang and our 30-day carnivore challenges by going to the URL shown on the screen, sbgmeetup.com, or check out the clickable links down below in the description box. It's also worth mentioning that there are many OG long-term carnivores out there that also live a zero salt life. You guys can look into Amber O'Hearn, one of the most OG long-term veteran carnivores out there, as well as Dana Spencer, another very long-term carnivore who does not eat any salt. And finally, Owsley Stanley, also known as the Bear. He even wrote a whole book about his diet. He touts very strongly that he promotes a zero salt carnivore diet in that book. I'll make sure to link my favorite articles and sources from these three carnivores down below in the description box if you want to check them out. Back to my personal experience with no salt. Nowadays, I really feel like I get plenty of sodium, electrolytes, and minerals from my beef, my seafood, and eggs. And honestly, I prefer the taste of plain carnivore meals. I personally find the flavor of my meals and meats and seafood to be incredibly delicious, to the point where I do not have any desire to add extra salt, any salt, to my meals. By the way, I eat a lot of seafood raw, sashimi style, which could also explain that I get plenty of electrolytes and minerals that way. Many of you also know that I don't use any seasonings either. If I really wanted extra flavor, I just whip up a raw egg yolk and use that as a really delicious carnivore dipping sauce. And I get asked this almost every single time I bring up the fact that I don't season or salt. How can you not be bored of carnivore? How is it not bland? How are you not disgusted by eating the same thing over and over again without all the extra flavors and saltiness? I'm telling you, there is something about taste buds evolving and changing the longer you stick to this type of lifestyle. This may sound weird to most, but let me just put it into perspective for you. When I drink different brands or types of water, I can literally taste the intensity of sweetness in water. When I cook my favorite flank and short ribs in the oven, plain, no salt added, it literally tastes salty and savory to me. I'm able to pick up umami flavors, savory, sweet notes, nutty notes in all of the carnivore meals that I eat without any seasonings or salt. So that's just how sensitive and sharp my taste buds are now, and that is why I'm so content with plain carnivore meals. It's just delicious to me. The third most amazing change that I experienced after going salt-free for 5 years was an improvement to my sleep quality. Now, not only my sleep quality, but also just how much sleep I needed in general. In a study published by the Nutrition Bulletin, scientists found that salt consumption was significantly associated with poor sleep quality, shortening sleep duration and also increasing the likelihood of nocturnal urination due to the diuretic effects of salt. Any level of sodium is putting an added strain on your blood pressure, which could mean that the reduced efficiency of blood flow and oxygen delivery to tissues and organs during the night, where your body is doing so much work, will disrupt your sleep patterns and lead to feelings of fatigue and decreased energy during the day. Before starting carnivore, and even during the first few months of my carnivore journey, as my body was slowly adapting, my sleep was pretty much up and down and quite unpredictable. Let me know if this sounds like you. You wake up at midnight, go to the bathroom to pee, struggle to fall back asleep, only to wake up soon after at an ungodly hour like 4 or 5 a.m. You give up going back to sleep and pretty much drag your feet through the rest of the day feeling extremely groggy, low energy. This was pretty much my life, and as much as I feel like the vegan diet holds most of the blame, as well as my standard American diet before going vegan, all the salt I was consuming on top of all that was definitely not helping either. So just like that, my sleep improved. I also no longer have to sleep nearly as long to feel well rested and energetic now, and I got to enjoy high energy levels that stayed stable throughout the day every day. This final change that improved after my body adapted to a salt-free lifestyle is what really sealed the deal for me to continue living zero salt, salt-free to this day. No longer was I lethargic and groggy throughout the day, and I found that I was able to achieve more with half the amount of time because of how focused I was. My body adjusted to always having adequate fluid levels and maintaining them with ease because the amount of salt I had was at a constant level of, well, 0 milligrams per day. Now keep in mind though, I am still getting plenty of electrolytes and minerals just naturally within the food that I'm eating. My steak, which I eat very rare, bloody rare, and my seafood, which I eat pretty much sashimi style every single time. The combination of having more physical endurance and mental acuity amplified my carnivore benefits. I almost feel like all the benefits from going carnivore those first 2 years, from reversing my autoimmune issues and anxiety to fat loss, happened faster because I wasn't having any salt. So those are the 4 major changes that I thought were too incredible not to share. And the craziest part is that honestly, I didn't feel any drawbacks since adapting to a zero salt lifestyle, which says to me that this is actually sustainable over long periods of time. Another bonus change that I noticed was that I no longer suffer from a dry, parched throat, nor were my thirst and hunger signals all over the place, because salt just made me perpetually thirsty and more hungry for food. Like Dr. Chaffee mentioned, having any added salt just tastes way too salty for me now, because my palate literally transformed since ditching salt for such a long time. If you're looking for carnivore meals that taste delicious with or without salt, I highly recommend checking out my last video where I show you 10 of my favorite ground beef recipes that I eat every single day. If you're interested in the study and research mentioned in this video, you can go in depth with the cited resources linked in the description box down below. Finally, before I wrap up, I wanted to shout out something that I have been incorporating every single day to protect my eyes from blue light and to also improve sleep quality. And that is wearing blue blockers. Both of these ones are from Bon Charge in the same exact style called Magnum. I have a red one for when it's nighttime and when it's dark outside, and this yellow one is when it starts getting dark or dim outside. Wearing blue blockers can also help your body produce more melatonin so that you fall asleep easily and that you stay asleep. Bon Charge also has other incredible biohacking products on their website, like their grounding mat and a red light therapy blanket that I do enjoy using as well. This blanket is great for anyone who wants to reduce soreness from workouts or just overall inflammation in the body after a long, stressful day. You can get all the benefits of the red light therapy just by lying down in the comfortable blanket. It wraps around you 360 degrees fully, and all you have to do is plug it in, choose your settings, lie down, and enjoy the benefits. If you're interested in any of my favorite biohacking tools, I'll make sure to link them down below in the description box alongside my discount code. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, I would love to know what your thoughts are on everything that I shared. You can also feel free to request any future topics or interview guests down below in the comments section. I will see you in my next video. SPG out.